I'm actually quite new back to Hull. I was born over in Grimsby, but I trained to teach in Hull, and for the past 6 years I've actually been working in Doncaster and Scunthorpe, which has been it's nice, really nice. Which is one of the things I said in my interview. It's really nice to come back to Hull and where I'm based, where my family live, in order to sort of work around where I'm actually living and contribute to the society in which I'm in. So the reason why I'm telling you that really is so that it sort of gives you some basis of the talk that I'm giving, because I've been at Hull College now for a couple of months, and these are some of the things that I've experienced and seen, so that I'm able to then put it into, this is where we're going as a college, and this is how I've come to see Hull as it is now. So in terms of innovation, we have innovation because of change. Change is constant, and we're consistently facing that as we're going through our lives. We've had three key aspects of change just lately. Obviously with COVID, there's been a huge change in the way that we live and the way that we educate each other and we educate ourselves. It's been catapulted us all into the digital age, particularly in education, and the way that we actually deliver to people, and the way that we've been putting our education online, and we're sort of now fully trying to integrate that into our face-to-face education, and also maintaining that online delivery. All right, so obviously we've got COVID and the internet of the internet of things, and everything all talking to each other, which are now and then moving into what is the metaverse of us, and the way that we actually interact with the internet, and the way that we're sort of living our lives online. All right, and alongside that, obviously with the environment and the way that we are actually living so close to the water, it's really key for ourselves in terms of the environment and the way that the world is changing around us, to thinking about how we change and how we adapt our lives to deal with that. In light of that, one of the first things that I experienced when I actually came to Hull is to have a talk from Lagoon Hull, and I thought that what I really wanted to do is to build that into my presentation, because I think it's literally, in terms of, I was asked to give a talk on innovation in the Humber, and this is literally innovation in the Humber with Lagoon Hull. Anybody that's not aware, this is a visualization of Lagoon Hull and how it would actually look in terms of a building of this being the lagoon. We've got Hull Humber Bridge over here, which would then span towards Victoria Dock, which would transform the way in which that we would live, the way that we would interact with each other, and as well as protecting ourselves. So we can see that this is part of flood prevention, this is part of port development, in order to sort of continue Hull as a growth area, is part of placemaking in terms of it being a place for us to live and thrive, and also into transport. You'd see that this would be a road from the Humber Bridge straight to Victoria Dock, missing out the Clive Sullivan Way, which becomes very sort of congested. So this was one of the first things that I experienced when coming to Hull. We had a presentation from the people leading this project, and I thought it was really fantastically interesting, and looking at how we can make that happen really. So it's quite dark, and you'd be forgiven to thinking that was EastEnders. It's actually it is actually Hull. So you've got the Humber Bridge there, straight over to the Victoria Dock area here, and then the Siemens and the port area alongside. As you can see, we've got the impounded area of the lagoon there, and then this creates the protection of the surrounding area. We've got there the roadway that would go through, and the development of the port, and then the area where we would sort of change the way that we actually live and enjoy ourselves. I remember being from Grimsby, we used to have a really small cinema, and so I remember coming across all the time. So I'm not sure if you remember St Andrew's Quay, Jack Rabbit Slims, was it? I remember all that sort of like that thriving area, and it's something that we could get back with this project. It would be a fantastic transformation. And there's some of the key stats of what and how it would actually develop our area and pour money into the economy. And this is a potential 10-year build time for it. It's costing up as sort of $2 billion to do. And in terms of how likely that would be, how likely it would be for us to get that, for them to get that off the ground, it would then sort of put in $1 billion of revenue into the surrounding area each year. So it's quite closely connected to being the benefit of Hull and the surrounding area. And just to put it into context, a HS2 would cost 23 billion, and so that it's small in that comparison when you say 2 billion. If you say it quickly, it sounds like not that much money, but actually we recognise that it is a lot of money. But it's connected to, like I say, put it into context with HS2 being 23 billion. It's it sounds more reasonable. So where are they at with it? Essentially, we're currently lobbying the government to build support for that, and to gain local business backing, the council backing. There's a email address there, Lauren, if anybody wants to more information and to get involved. All right. I mean, obviously I'm from Hull College, and why I'm sort of giving that presentation, and it's about, obviously, we as a college, one of our strap lines is that it's a course, it's a career, not a course. I'm not going to get that one. It's a career, not a course. So it's about us trying to get people into careers that are coming to us and trying to access that job market. The difficulty is that when the job market is consistently changing, and we are trying to adapt to it and trying to make people prepared for it, trying to get people into it, we need to sort of thoroughly understand what changes are coming so we can adapt our curriculum, our delivery, in order to sort of be able to make sure that these people that we're presenting to you as industry partners are actually work ready. And and things are consistently changing. We often have schemes of learning, schemes of work which we deliver, and we have things changing all the time. We've got the cluster plan and the Yorkshire Energy Park, which I'll talk about in a moment. But also, I get the train from Beverley, and I get the train from when I walk from the train station to Hull College. You see all these electric delivery bikes in the centre now, and I'm not sure if you can remember watching Dragon's Den. I remember watching Dragon's Den, and I remember them pitching this idea of, right, you can put all your takeaways onto a website, and then people will just be able to order it. It was actually thrown out by Dragon's Den. The people actually didn't vote for it. And now look at it, they're like Just Eat is all over the place. And not only is it all over the place, it's actually being delivered to us on electric bikes. In the centre, just outside of McDonald's, you can see 5 or 6 electric bikes there all the time. And it just shows us how our lives have been changing around us. And the same with when solar roofs first started, when people were opting to do that, putting the solar roofs on, and now it's actually becoming a standard, much like with electric cars. Electric cars, we've got our Tesla outside, our ID4 outside that we've got from the college, and it's 2 or 3 years ago it was all very new, and they're now becoming sort of commonplace in our society, so much so that when houses are being actually built, they're being built with charging points as standard. So it's as we're going through living our lives, things are rapidly changing. As we get older, we sort of start to feel that we're running to keep up. So obviously, as I mentioned, we've got the Humber cluster plan and everything that's been actually changed and developed around our area. And as I say, I'm 2 months in back in the area, working at Hull College and seeing all of this change and development that's currently going ahead. We see the £15 billion worth of investment into the area for the decarbonisation, and with the environment fully on our minds. And the Yorkshire Energy Park that's not got too long to go in terms of the build for that. A new flagship area. We can see that all connected to next to the Salt End area of how it is. We can see that by 2024 that will be built and in play with an education connection to it, in order for us to make those changes to our society. I won't list the rest of that, but I mean, this is as I'm going along, I'm seeing one thing after another of investment and things that are going on all around us to drive Hull and the area forward in terms of the environment and in terms of investment to make it the place to actually come to study, to stay and to live. All right, so this is my really core business of what I do. I've been in education my entire life, so actually understanding education and talking about it, this is where I should be really. What I've just talked about is about observations and a reflection of how we're developing our area. So, as I said, the difficulty with it is that we're trying to cope with the changes that are going on with the industrial plan and the energy park. How do we prepare people to actually go into those jobs when those jobs are so new and things are changing all the time? People come to us for a career. At Hull College, we're 16 plus. People have adults coming to us because they want to change in a career, or we're not necessarily like a school where we have a sort of a standard curriculum where we're still teaching a sort of the core traditional aspects of different subjects. We're trying to stay on top of changes so that we're able to do our best for our learners as they come in, and it can be difficult for sure. And this is a reflection here that this isn't about Hull College necessarily, and it's not necessarily even about this country. This was an international situation. So the divide between the careers now and industry is actually quite vast. So that it's difficult in being prepared to get people in there. So many of the skills needed for the future are actually not being taught in educational institutions, and so and that's why we are here. That's why we're trying to engage with everybody to say what skills are people wanting for the future and how can we build them in. There is a recognition about this, so that we have what's called the local skills improvement plan. So that is part of getting educational institutions together with businesses and to be able to have these conversations about what is it that you need, what is it that's coming forward, how can we not only understand that, but understand it to the extent that we can teach it to our learners so that they're able to come and support yourselves. And there's alongside that, there's the Skill Development Fund, and that is a government-led organisation, government-led sort of group that then sort of funds these aspects for us to be able to develop skills in one way or another. I've already referenced the cars. This was our first phase of a skills development funding, where we got the cars and the equipment, some of that you'll see. out in the expo today, alongside the drones that we're using in order for that are being used for surveying. And we've brought those in, we've trained our staff, and we're now offering all of these different courses to which will be able to support us for the future, and in terms of all like the electric vehicles, maintenance, support, and the diagnostic of those. So that was part of our first wave of development of the in order to keep our learners going and keeping them up to date. The next stage of our skills development funding will focus on all of these different areas. So we've got geothermal warming, we've got wave technology, smart factories of the future and lean manufacturing, and we've got wind power, all coming in order for us to bring the technology in, to be able to train our staff up so that they're able to support people for the future, and any conversations, any support that we have from local businesses and areas, very much appreciated. In order for us to continue those conversations, we do have a number of open events. These are for our learners, and everybody's invited to those for you to come and get a better idea, listen to people as well that aren't just me, a better idea of what we're actually doing at the college and how we're supporting learners and developing our curriculum. I've included some website address and a couple of emails there as well of people that key people at the college that you can contact. I'm happy for you to contact myself as well. But I think essentially if we're working together so that we're able to support our learners so that they're able to come into to your industry and be work ready, then that'll be the best that we can do. Thank you very much for listening to me, very much appreciated. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.